Hi there, welcome back to the Anchor Academy. On today's episode, we'll be setting up and grinding a barrel-shaped ball nose end mill. We'll be going through the machine setup, the wheel pack and the work holding, which we've already covered in episodes 1 and 5 of the Anchor Academy, so make sure you check those episodes out for a bit more detail. Following the machine setup, we'll be designing one of these tools using the Wizard in iGrind on the machine we have here. After this, we'll go through the dry run process, and finally, we'll grind a tool. Also, at the end of this episode, we will be talking to one of our applications engineers here about common issues and questions about grinding these barrel-shaped ball nose end mills. So make sure you stick around for that. Let's get into it. Now, the first step in our machine setup is the work holding setup. Today, I'm using a W25 Premier Plus PCA collet adapter, and this is a great work holding system for grinding round tools because it gives us plenty of clamp force and also allows us to adjust out any radial or axial run out. Now, I've already set this unit up here today, so I won't be going through that, but if you go and check out episode 1 of the Anchor Academy, we cover this in detail from start to finish, so I encourage you to do that. All right, next up, wheel pack setup. I'm holding here a wheel pack very similar to the one that we set up in the previous episode. It has the same wheels, the 1A1, the 1V1, and the 11V9 in the same configuration. Now this is a very flexible wheel pack. It can be used to grind a wide range of tool types. But today we'll be using this 1A1 to do the fluting operation and the plunge heel clearance. We'll be using the 1V1 to grind the gash, and then the cup wheel to do the primary relief on the OD and ball. Now this is not the only wheel pack that you could use to grind this tool. You do have several options when choosing a wheel for a given operation, but this is a very standard configuration, so that's what we'll be using today. All right, I'm gonna leave this wheel pack here, and now we'll move over to the machine and get started designing our tool using the Wizard. Now that we have our work holding set up and our wheel pack mounted and qualified in the wheel editor software, we're going to generate our tool file using the Wizard. So first, we'll open iGrind and select Create a Tool using the End Mill Wizard. Now, to create a barrel-shaped ball nose, we actually use the oval form ball nose option. Again, 4 flutes, a 5mm radius, a 10mm diameter. We're going to be manufacturing from solid with a helix, and the material is tungsten carbide. So, next window. This takes us to our oval form editor window. Now here, we can define the shape of the barrel-shaped ball nose. So we have a few parameters here that we can choose to change this shape, but we'll just leave it as default. Next is the end face style, much like the other end mill types. Here we're going to go with too long, too short. We have a few other options, but we'll stick with the default. Yes, it's a helix, OD, right-hand cut, right-hand helix with a 30-degree helix angle. And we have a couple of other options here, unequal flute spacing and the feed rate override, but we'll leave that all as default for today. Generating our tool. The next step is the wheel selection window. iGrind will automatically assign a wheel to an operation based on its suitability. So for a given operation, we have a few requirements here of the wheel, and it will pick the wheel that satisfies those requirements. Sometimes you might not satisfy all the requirements, and you might see for a particular operation that it's highlighted yellow. This means that although you can still grind that operation, you might end up with geometry slightly different to what's programmed. But in this case, we have no yellow, so that's good. The other thing you might encounter is if it's highlighted in red. That's an invalid wheel, and you need to select a different wheel because it won't even grind the operation in that case. So here, we have no yellow, no red. We've chosen our wheels well, so we'll check OK. OK, this is our tool file. We can see here in the simulation window what it's going to look like. To the right of that is the operation list, starting with the digitized end of tool operation, moving through flute from solid, plunge heel clearance, ball gash, OD ball finish. Now in each of these grinding operations, we have many parameters which define the geometry for that operation. I won't go into any detail on any of the specific parameters today. We're just going to use the defaults as given to us from the Wizard. So all these parameters have been selected by the Wizard. So that's what we're going to use today to grind our tool. To the right of the operation list is the wheel selection. Here, for every operation, we can manually select wheels, different to what was automatically assigned in the wizard. Now, we're not going to change any of the wheels because the setup is good at the moment, but here is where you would go to change any wheels if you wanted to. Also here, we can define the wheel speed. Right now, we're taking the wheel speed using the default, which is defined in the wheel editor for a given wheel. But you can manually specify the wheel speed either as a surface speed or as an RPM. So we'll go back to the default here. And this wheel selection can be done for all of your operations. To the right of this, we have the feed rate. Now here we can select the feed rate for a given operation. Some of them have more than one feed rate for the impact or say the fluting feed rate. So it allows you to manually select the feed rate for each part of the operation. Now all these values are selected by the wizard based on the material that we chose. And we chose tungsten carbide, and these feed rates are all sensible values for grinding tungsten carbide, so we're going to leave them. All right, that's our tool file generated. Before we move on to the next section though, I'd just like to talk about Anker's simulation software package, Sim3D. Now today we designed this tool using the wizard in the iGrind software on the machine itself. And we can see the tool that we've created here in the simulation window. Now, the tool shown here is generated using the Sim3D software and is a theoretically exact representation of the tool, assuming we have qualified all the wheels correctly. This simulation window, though, is just a viewer and lacks much of the functionality that the complete software package has. For this reason, it's far more common that we would do the tool design offline on a simulator and then bring the tool file to the machine when we're ready to grind. The simulator has many features which are useful during tool design. We can do clearance checking, run through the entire grinding cycle to make sure that the wheel's not hitting the work holding or something like that. We can measure geometry on the tool, like the land width or the hook angle. We can also modify parameters within an operation and instantly see the effect on the geometry, which is really helpful. And finally, we can observe the grind point for each wheel and each operation, which will be really helpful for us when we come to set the coolant pipes up, which is the next step. So let's go and do that now. The next step in our setup is the coolant pipe configuration. Now, coolant delivery is very important and will influence the grinding efficiency, the cycle time you can achieve, the rate of wheel wear, and the tool quality itself. So it's very important that we get this right. One of the most important things when setting up your coolant pipes is making sure that your nozzles are directed as closely as possible to the grind point. And this is where the simulator can come in really handy, because I've simulated this tool and observed for every operation where the grind point is on the relevant wheel. So I've set up the coolant manifold here to reflect that, and I'll walk you through that now. So the first operation is the flute from solid operation. This will be done at approximately 6:30. So this nozzle here will be shooting that point on the back toroid. The next operation is the plunge heel clearance. That is done at about 7 o'clock on the 1A1 wheel as well. That's what this nozzle will cover. The next operation is the gashing operation. Now that rolls from about 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on the wheel, the grind point. So this nozzle here is going to try and hit both of those, but somewhere in the middle maybe. And finally, the cut wheel, the grind point during the OD ball is 9 o'clock to around about 10:30. So this nozzle here is going to be aimed at about 9:30, say. It's not always possible, as you can see, to aim the nozzle directly at the grind point, particularly when the grind point is changing, such as in the gashing operation and the OD ball operation. You have a couple of options. We can set up multiple coolant nozzles on the same wheel. Maybe here, one at 9 o'clock and one at 10:30. Or, and what is quite common, we'll set up a headstock coolant nozzle here, which sprays directly at the tool, and that can kind of fill in the gaps when the grind point is not quite aligned with this nozzle here. At this stage, the nozzles are only approximately positioned. We will probably do a final tweak just before we grind our tool, but for now it's just important that they're approximately in the right position, and that's important for the next step in our process, which is the dry run. So let's move over to that. Before we do our dry run, there's one more step, and that is to qualify the work holding system. Earlier we already set it up and trued it, but what we haven't done yet is teach the machine where the front face of the collet is, and that's what we'll do now. So we'll start by inserting a tool all the way in, and we'll close the door and open the application menu, machine configurator, and this will display the active work holding system. In this case, it's already correct. We can choose from a large range of other work holding systems though, if we need. The next step is to choose the size. We're grinding a 10mm tool. We have a 10mm collet in there, so 9 to 12. And then finally, we hit digitize and apply. Then it's going to ask us to MPG the machine until the probe is close to the collet front face here, and press acknowledge. And there we go, the work holding system is qualified. The next step in the setup is the dry run. The dry run is a very important final step before we grind a tool for the first time. It'll give us confidence that we're not going to crash the machine, that there are no clearance issues at any point in the grinding cycle. Even if we've done a full simulation in the Sim3D software, it's still very important to do this dry run on the machine itself before we grind a tool. That's because the Sim3D, while it will accurately model the wheel and work holding and tool, there are certain things that aren't captured, such as the coolant pipes, headstock coolant pipe, maybe some other accessories like a tool support system that wasn't in your simulation. So it's just a very good idea to always dry run as your final step before grinding a tool. We'll go through the dry run step by step, first of which is to insert your tool into the collet, making sure that the protrude length is the same as your tool file, in this case 50mm. Next we'll close the door and press the dry run button up here. So we'll press cycle start, and the first thing that will happen is it will digitize end of tool. Now it will ask us to unload the dry run tool. Rather than fully unloading it, it's better to just push the tool all the way into the collet. Press cycle start, and now it's going to go through every operation exactly as it would if it were grinding the tool. But because the tool now has been pushed into the collet, we're not actually physically going to touch the tool. So, first operation, flute from solid. We can control the dry run in the automatic mode using the feed rate pot, like normal. I think a good strategy is to use the feed rate pot right up until you have a potential clearance issue, and when things are getting very close, what you can do is kill the feed rate, open the door, and switch over to MPG mode. Now we can use the MPG wheel to control the grinding move, and we can do it in a much more precise way. And so what we can do now, if we think we're very close, a telescopic mirror can be really handy. This will allow us to see on the back side of the wheel. Okay, yeah, plenty of clearance. So we can continue. Now we're on the retract move, and we've successfully dry run our first flute. So we would continue this way through all of the fluting operations, then the gashing, OD ball, and once we're happy we have no clearance issues, we're not going to crash the machine, we can be confident to grind our tool with no problems. So that's the dry run process. So we've completed our setup, we've done our dry run, and now onto the moment we've been waiting for, we're going to grind a tool. So we'll insert our blank into the collet, making sure that the protrude length is correct. Close the door. Now we can perform the digitizing operation and all the grinding operations in one hit, or we can perform the digitizing operation alone, press grind, cycle start. Okay, digitizing complete. Now if we press mode regrind and select all of our grinding operations, it will just apply the digitized values that we just generated. So we've got all our grinding operations selected. Now we press grind, cycle start, and we'll come back to a ground tool. That's it.